to thank everybody for coming out in what is the most important and consequential election in the modern history of our country. Thank you very much. And tonight, we are assembled for two fundamental reasons. Number one, together we are going to defeat Donald Trump who is the most dangerous president in the modern history of this country. No matter what one's political views may be, I think we all understand we cannot maintain in the White House a person who is a pathological liar, somebody who is running a corrupt administration, somebody who has apparently never read the Constitution of the United States, somebody who thinks that he is above the law. So in November, we are going to teach Donald Trump a lesson in democracy. Because we are going to make him a one-term president. But Trump is not just a pathological liar, he is a fraud. When he ran for president in 2016, he said that he was going to provide health care to everybody. He lied. Instead of trying to provide health care to everybody, he attempted to throw 32 million Americans off of the health care they have and do away with the protections for pre-existing conditions. Donald Trump told us that his tax proposal would not benefit him and his billionaire friends. He lied again. Over a 10-year period, 83% of the benefits went to the top 1%. And in 2016, Trump said, you know, trust me, I'm not going to cut Medicare, Medicaid, and Social Security. He lied again. Just today, he was on television talking about his desire to cut, quote-unquote, entitlement programs, Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid, and his budgets called for massive cuts to those programs which are so very important to the working families of this country. We are going to defeat Donald Trump because we are the strongest campaign to do it. To defeat Trump, we need a campaign of excitement and energy. And anyone who is listening to this crowd knows we have a campaign of energy and excitement. We are going to defeat Trump because we have an unprecedented grassroots movement of people all over this country, black and white and Latino, Native American, Asian American. Trump is trying to divide the people of our country together. We are trying to bring our people together. And we are bringing our people together in the struggle for justice. And at the end of the day, as Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. reminded us, at the end of the day, justice will prevail. Now, as some of you know, that at the beginning of this campaign, there were some 18 candidates contesting for the Democratic nomination. Well, we're down to 2. And I want to, as some of you know, Senator Elizabeth Warren, a good friend of mine, dropped out today. And I want to take this opportunity to applaud Senator Warren for a strong issue-oriented campaign. And tonight we invite Senator Warren's supporters into our campaign. Because I think they will find many of the issues that Senator Warren campaigned on are exactly the issues that we are fighting for. So there are now 2 candidates. One of them is an old friend of mine, Joe Biden. And now when you have 2 candidates, No. What we are going to do, when you got 2 candidates, unlike when you have 18 candidates, it is possible to really contrast the views of the candidates. And that's what I'm going to do. Joe Biden is a decent guy, and I know that if I win the nomination, he'll be there for me. If he wins, I'll be there for him. Because our differences are minimal compared to the differences we have with Trump. But let me contrast for a moment some of the differences in views that that Biden and I have. And one of them has to do with how we run our campaign. Joe Biden has received campaign support from at least 60 billionaires. He is receiving support now from former Mayor Bloomberg, one of the wealthiest people in this country. And Joe has an active super PAC. Well, we're running our campaign very differently. We don't have a super PAC. We don't want a super PAC. We don't need a super PAC. because we are raising our campaign funds from the working class of this country. And I am proud to tell you that up to this point in the campaign, we have received some 8 million contributions. From 2 million Americans, averaging $18.50 a contribution. This is a campaign of the working class, by the working class, and for the working class. And as somebody who grew up in a working class home, lived in a rent-controlled apartment my entire childhood, I am proud that our campaign and our administration is not beholden to billionaires, not beholden to Wall Street, not beholden to the pharmaceutical industry, and not beholden to the fossil fuel industry. So right from the start, you can tell a whole lot about a campaign in terms of where the campaign raises his money. Does anybody seriously think that a candidate who takes money from Wall Street and the drug companies and has a super PAC is going to stand up for the working class and make the real changes that we need? But it is not just how we raise our money, it's what our record has been. Joe has been in the Senate for a long time before he was vice president. I've been in the House and the Senate. We have very different records, and the American people should understand the difference. When George W. Bush and Dick Cheney were telling us that we needed to invade Iraq, I knew that they were lying, and I vigorously opposed that war. Joe Biden voted for the war in Iraq. When the corporate world said, you got to support disastrous trade agreements like NAFTA and PNTR, which cost us millions of good-paying manufacturing jobs, I said no. I said we need to have trade agreements which work for workers, not just the CEOs of large corporations. I said that in this country, in Mexico, we do not want a race to the bottom. We want a race to the top. So I helped lead the opposition against those trade agreements. Joe Biden supported them. 12 years ago, the crooks on Wall Street nearly destroyed our economy. Millions of people lost their jobs, they lost their homes, they lost their life savings because of the greed and irresponsibility and thievery of Wall Street. And after Wall Street nearly destroyed the economy, they came to Congress begging for a bailout. And what I said then is, if you want a bailout, go to your billionaire friends and get a billionaire. On the other hand, Joe Biden voted for that bailout. Some years ago, there was a terrible bankruptcy bill which hurt millions of working families. Joe supported that bill. I vigorously opposed it. Number of years ago, Joe Biden was on the floor of the Senate more than once talking about the need to cut Social Security, Medicare, and veterans programs. I helped lead the opposition against those cuts. And my view then and my view now is that we have got to expand Social Security benefits, not cut them. When legislation came up some years ago determining whether our gay brothers and sisters could be open about their sexual orientation and serve in the military, I said yes. Joe Biden said no. All of you know that for a number of years, there have been attacks against women's right to control their own bodies. And I am proud to tell you that I have a 100% pro-choice voting record. Which is somewhat different than Joe Biden's. And one of the issues that we have been wrestling with in Congress is not only to protect a woman's right to control her body, but to make sure that low-income women I voted to make sure that low-income women can use Medicaid to make their own choices. Joe Biden voted differently. So there are actually more differences, but those are some. And as this becomes a two-person contest, it is important for people to look at the record, and equally important to look at the vision, where we want to go. And let me tell you where we want to go. We are going to end starvation wages in America. I got a question. How many people here who are working are earning less than $15 an hour? We're going to raise the federal minimum wage to at least $15 an hour. We're going to make sure that women earn the same pay as men. We're going to make it easier for workers to join unions. We're going to create millions of good-paying jobs, rebuilding our crumbling infrastructure. And what our campaign is about is changing national priorities. Instead of giving tax breaks to billionaires, we're going to invest in education. We believe in high-quality, affordable, universal child care. We are going to triple funding for low-income Title I schools. And because we believe in education, we believe in teachers. In our country today, we need many, many good teachers. And I hope that some of the young people here will give thought to becoming teachers. We need more African American teachers. We need more Latino teachers. We need more special education teachers. And that's why I believe that no teacher in America should earn less than $60,000 a year. And when we talk about education, we have got to expand our views regarding free public education. K through 12 is not good enough anymore. We need to make public colleges and universities tuition free. And because we're going to have a government that represents working families and the middle class, not billionaires, we're going to cancel all student debt in this country. And we're going to pay for that through a modest tax on Wall Street speculation. And we believe in the need to end the international embarrassment of the United States being the only major country on earth not to guarantee health care to all people. Every other major country, I live 50 miles away from the Canadian border. They have universal health care in the UK, in France, in Germany, in Sweden, Finland, Norway, Denmark. If every other major country can guarantee health care to all as a human right, so can the United States of America. In America today, we are spending twice as much per person on health care as do the people of any other country. $11,000 for every man, woman, and child. And yet, despite that huge expenditure, we have 87 million Americans uninsured or underinsured. We got 30,000 people dying every year because they don't have health care. We are paying by far the highest prices in the world for prescription drugs. And we have 500,000 people last year who went bankrupt because of medically related debt. And the absurdity of our current healthcare system becomes clearer when we try to deal with a crisis like the coronavirus. Can you imagine people today in America who are sick? They're wondering whether or not they have this virus. And they cannot afford to go to a doctor. That is bad for that person, obviously. It is bad for all of us. Healthcare is a human right. And everyone in this country, including the undocumented, have a right toward health care. And that is why we are going to take on the drug companies and their corruption and their price fixing. That is why we're going to take on the insurance companies, and we are going to pass a Medicare for all single-payer program. Donald Trump, who, as you know, has described himself as a great genius, one of the foremost scientists in the world, a man who knows everything about every issue. Our great genius president thinks that climate change is a hoax. Well, I happen to think that Donald Trump is a hoax. And my promise to you is that our administration will believe in science. And we will listen to the scientists. And what the scientists are telling us is that climate change is real. It is caused by human activity. It is already causing devastating problems in our country and around the world. And what they are also telling us is the situation is more dire than they had previously thought. So what we are going to do is to pass a Green New Deal. Which will create millions of good-paying union jobs as we transform our energy system away from fossil fuel to energy efficiency and sustainable energy. And by the way, Arizona should be one of the leaders in this country in solar energy. And because we understand that climate change is not just an American issue, but a global issue, as president, I will reach out to the people of China and Russia and Pakistan and India, because we are all in this together. And maybe, just maybe, instead of spending $1.8 trillion a year on weapons of destruction designed to kill each other, maybe we should pool our resources and fight our common enemy, which is climate change. And when we talk about issues in this country that must be dealt with, we are going to bring major reform to a broken and racist criminal justice system. don't want to have more people in jail today than any other country on earth, including China. And that is why we are going to invest in our young people in jobs and education, not more jails and incarceration. It is why we are going to end private prisons and detention centers. And it's why we are going to end the so-called war on drugs. This war on drugs has been extremely destructive to people in this country, especially African-American community, Latino community, Native American community. Now, it turns out, as you know, there are some things a president can do with executive order, other things you need legislation. Turns out that one thing you can do with an executive order is to legalize marijuana in every state in this country. And what we will also do and move forward is to try to expunge the records of those arrested for marijuana. You know, it costs more money to lock somebody up in a prison than to send them to the University of Arizona. I think we got to stop locking people up and get them the education that they need. And when we talk about ending broken and racist systems, we're going to fight for a complete overhaul of our immigration system. I am the proud son of an immigrant. My father came to this country without a nickel in his pocket, couldn't speak a word of English, and had very little education. I will not accept the continued demonization of the immigrant community. And on day one, we will sign an executive order to restore the legal status of the 1.8 million young people eligible for DACA. We will end a border policy that allows federal agents to snatch babies from the arms of their mothers. And we will pass what should have been passed decades ago: bipartisan, comprehensive immigration reform and a path toward citizenship. All of us, no matter what our political point of view may be, are horrified by the level of gun violence that exists in this country. We are sick and tired of mass shootings of 40,000 people a year losing their lives because of guns. So my promise to you is that our gun safety legislation will be the most sweeping gun safety legislation in the history of this country. Trump and the Republican leadership are intimidated by the NRA we will not be intimidated by the NRA. We will pass universal background checks. People who have violent pasts, including domestic violence, should not own guns. We are going to do away with the gun show loophole. And we will do what the American people want, end the sale and distribution of assault weapons in this country. Right now in America, women are under political assault all over this country. You know, and as a United States Senator, I hear a lot of speeches on the floor of the Senate from conservative Republicans who tell us they believe in small government and getting the government off the backs of the American people. That's what they say. And I say to those hypocrites, if you believe in getting the government off the backs of the American people, understand that it is women who have a right to control their own bodies, not the government. And my promise to you is I will never nominate anybody for the Supreme Court or the federal bench who is not 100% pro Roe v. Wade. We're going to move to codify, put Roe v. Wade into law. Trump and his friends want to cut funding for Planned Parenthood. Well, we've got some bad news for them. We're going to expand funding for Planned Parenthood. What this campaign is about is not only defeating Donald Trump, it is fighting for a political revolution. And what our campaign is about right now is understanding that real change never takes place from the top on down, always from the bottom on up. So what our campaign is about, it's not just a political campaign, it's about a movement of people. It is a multi-generational, multi-racial movement of African Americans, Latinos, whites, Native Americans, Asian Americans. It is about people coming together and demanding a nation and a government and an economy that works for all, not just the few. But what a political revolution means is it cannot succeed if you all are not actively involved in it. And as you know, the message of our campaign is us, not me. And that message means two things. It means that we understand that the function of human life is not simply to make billions of dollars and step on everybody and to lie and to cheat and to steal. That's Trump's vision of what life is about. We understand that we are better and stronger human beings when we care about each other. Every family in America, trust me, has its share of problems. Your family is not the only one with a problem. And what we understand is that when my family cares about your family and your family cares about my family, we make this country the kind of country it must become. But us, not me, also means something fairly profound, which you won't see on TV, won't read about it in the newspapers. It is an understanding of the power structure of America. Do you know what I mean by the power structure? It is who really has the power. And what I'm here to tell you tonight, which no other candidate for president will tell you, is that no president, not Bernie Sanders or anybody else, can do it alone. We need a movement of people. We need a movement to tell Wall Street that their greed is unacceptable. To tell the drug companies they will not charge us 10 times more for the same medicine as sold in other countries. To tell the insurance companies they're not going to charge us the highest prices in the world for health care. To tell the fossil fuel industry that their short-term profits are not more important than the future of this planet. So that is what this campaign is about. It's saying that the working families of this country deserve a fair shake, that we are tired of the massive levels of income and wealth inequality, that it is not acceptable that 3 people own more wealth than the bottom half of American society. Now, in the coming weeks, there is going to be a very, very important primary here in Arizona. So tonight, I am here to ask you not only to come out and vote, or vote early if you want, but to make sure that your friends and co-workers and family vote as well. Let us do everything we can to make sure that Arizona has the highest voter turnout in the history of the Arizona primary. So thank you all for being here tonight. Let us go forward. Let's win in Arizona. Let's win the nomination. Let us defeat Donald Trump. Let us transform this country. Thank you.